Hello everyone, this is session 3AK of GSE 2021. AIOps, monitoring and observability, what's new in OMEGAMON. This session was to be hosted by Ash Mahay, but unfortunately he's got tonsillitis, and although he's feeling a lot better, we've asked Bob Tita to stand in so that every other second isn't a cough. Please put any questions that you have in the chat during the session. Ash will be monitoring the chat and will either reply there, or he will let Bob know that there's a question that needs to be answered. At the end of the session, please be as kind as to fill in the feedback form. We do use those. We do look at the responses, and we do take those types of things forward into next year's conference. Also this year, your entry into the raffle is by donating to one or other or both of our charities. Oh, my nose is going now. The RNLI or the Guide Dogs for the Blind, and follow the link in your receipt to get your raffle entry for each £1 that you donate. Both very, very good causes, and of course during this COVID time, sadly lacking in donations as everybody's giving to the National Health Service or National Health Service type charities. So we did that last year, but we made a change this year. So please do that. Donate in appreciation of the session that you are about to hear. Okay, so without further ado, I will hand over to Bob, and in the background, Ash.
All right, perfect. Thanks. So I'll sort of skip through the normal disclaimers and over the abstract, and we'll talk about what we're going to cover today. We've got a lot of exciting material to share with you today, and thank you very much for coming out this afternoon. We want to go through this with you and give you some idea of what's new in the OMEGAMON family that can bring benefit to your organizations. Before we get into that, though, I'd like to point out a few other sessions that might be interesting. The one with the green arrow is the one we're on today. And then Wednesday, the 10th of November, we have a really good session on the configuration manager. We'll talk a little bit about it today, but a lot more in depth on that Wednesday session. And then next Thursday, I really think this will be worth your time to talk about learning how to use your OMEGAMON data with some visualization and AI machine learning platforms of choice. So we'll cover that then. So we'll organize this a little bit, talking about just the overalls of the IBM Z monitoring, the OMEGAMON family. Then we'll talk about some of the specific domain enhancements that we've had in the individual OMEGAMON monitors themselves. We'll talk a little bit about some improvements in configuration deployment, and then how we're working to modernize and integrate the user experience for you. So just overall, and I would hope that most of you are aware of this, the OMEGAMONs and our monitoring solution really provide performance metrics kind of in real time across the full stack of your various domains, operating system, networks, database, all of that kind of middleware as well, to give you the observability is the new term of art. So you can observe what's going on now, not just look back at historical data as well. And along with that, we give a lot of out-of-the-box best practices to visualize your system availability and health, some intelligent alerts so that it makes it easier to know when you have a problem, where the problem is, and how to quickly go about isolating and fixing it. We have some special dashboards for things like resource bottlenecks and external domain dependencies to make it easier, again, for you to quickly get to the root of a problem and get it fixed. And of course, we offer dynamic application tracing when you really need to do some deep root cause analysis. So when we talk about the IBM Z monitoring solution, I'm going to talk about this in the guise of the two suites that we offer, but keep in mind that the individual OMEGAMON agents are also separately available. Not all of the components that are in the suites are separately available, and I'll sort of point those out as we go. I'll start talking about the IBM Z Service Management Suite, which is the larger suite. It encompasses both monitoring and automation. So it's kind of a one-stop shopping for a monitoring and automation solution. And I'll start with Service Management Unite. Service Management Unite is, think of it as the dashboards or user experience for your operations personnel. So it's got a lot of very tailored and curated views for that persona, for the operators. It doesn't go to all of the depth that, for example, in the monitoring agents, we can go to for the subject matter experts for things like KICS or IMS or DB2. But it's enough for the operators to get a good view, and it cuts across disciplines. So it's not just monitoring; it also covers the automation and scheduling as well. So as operators need views and actions into those other specialty areas, it provides a smooth user experience for that. We've also about a year ago, we introduced IBM Z ChatOps, which is a new and unique engagement model for the IBM Z platform, where alerts and events are posted right directly into opening up a new chat. Relevant information is provided right away. As you're working through the chat, you can pull up more information as you need it. And it gives a new engagement model between operators, subject matter experts, and others who may be needed to work on and solve a problem. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Service Management Explorer, which is the no Java, more modern version of the familiar TEP user interface. It's a graphical user interface that runs all on Zoe, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on as well. And then, of course, we have the individual OMEGAMON agents that are included in the suites that cover all of the key domains. I won't list them. And then we have in the Service Management Suite, we have Z NetView, Z System Automation, and Z Software Asset Management. And that's color-coded a little bit differently, just so you'll know. This is actually a new name for an older product. It used to be known as Tivoli Asset Discovery, or TAD-Z as we would have called it in the past. And so the same components for Service Management Unite, ChatOps, and Service Management Explorer are included with the Z Monitoring Suite. The same OMEGAMON agents are covered in the Z Monitoring Suite. And instead of the automation components, we also include the Resource Measurement Facility, or RMF, as it's more popularly known, which is generally available as a feature of the ZOS operating system. But for financial reasons, we can package it inside the Z Monitoring Suite, and that provides some nice financial advantages to procure it that way. And again, as I mentioned, each of the OMEGAMON agents is available in a standalone mode. So let's talk a little bit about what we've done with the OMEGAMON family, with some of the base for the family. We've added multi-factor authentication across the board. This covers enhanced 3270 UI, the classic UI, and the TEP. With some limitations on the TEP that I'll talk about in a few minutes. These have been around for a little bit, but with this heightened focus on security, it's something that we wanted to call out again. Some enhanced navigation. We're continually tinkering with the E3270 UI to give more direct access so you can more quickly zoom into the areas that are of concern to you. So it improves your navigation primarily. For those of you who are administering the OMEGAMONs and are still using ParmGen, the performance has gotten a lot better in the last year or a little more than a year. One of the key resource consuming components of ParmGen is called KCI parse. And the performance that we've seen in our lab tests is at least 10 times better performance. So whatever you need to do, you can do more quickly now today. And we've improved PDS version 2, the persistent data store. So this gives you some enhancements in near-term history that we'll talk about a little bit more detail. It also enhances your performance. So if you're not using PDS version 2, you should strongly consider it now. So I'll talk a little bit about multi-factor authentication, particularly with the TEP. That's really where it's been added most recently. And there are some qualifiers about that. So we have E3270 and classic MFA support, and the APAR is listed here in the slide. But for TEP MFA support, it requires the IBM Z multi-factor authentication. It also requires you to be running your hub TEMS on ZOS. I will tell you that for the distributed hub TEMS clients, we are working on something. It's kind of in the roadmap, but we don't have a date that we can share with you yet for when that might be available. This does require authentication via the hub TEMS. It requires a particular PTF, OA59686, and it requires Tivoli monitoring versions 6.3.0, Fix Pack 7, Service Pack 2, or higher. And this supports a particular method for passphrase called compound in-band passphrase. As I said, there were some limitations. And the application ID or Apple ID parameter can be controlled through your usual ParmGen means. So moving ahead to OMEGAMON for ZOS, version 5.5 and FixPack 6. In general, this covers some additional Z15 hardware support and support for containers that are running on ZCX. The specific APAR is OA60537. And it covers a number of things. It adds tenant resource groups and tenant report classes. It adds a view of Z15 on-chip compression. It adds a view of Z15, the system recovery boost. Also, ZOS container extensions, as I mentioned earlier, it shows you the address spaces that are identified as ZCX. And it gives you a new view of 4-hour rolling average MSU stats. For OMEGAMON for networks, again, version 5.5, FixPack 6, this is all about enhanced monitoring for DeViPA. So FixPack 6 APAR OA60536 gives you views of the DeViPA state, including some information about the configuration and status. It also has a view of DeViPA ports, information on DeViPA applications and the distributed targets. And of course, on the routes, information from the VIPA route profile, as well as the connection routing table. For OMEGAMON for KICS 5.5, FixPack 5, we've made several recent updates. DB2 entries and DB2 transaction monitoring, so you can get a view of what's going on the other side of the transaction fence. Transaction rate summary, which is something that we've been asked for quite a bit. Monitoring of the KICS TS main limit, the ability to start and stop your task history, and some KICS Plex agent performance improvements. We're always working in all of our agents to try and improve performance. Every time we make a change, we like to try and add to the performance as well. The requests, we've also honored some requests in the E3270 for features that are similar to things that were available in CUA. things like some dumps, exits, journals, TS model, unit of work, and a few other things here. And we've enhanced the active tasks panel in E3270 so that you can get a better view of what's going on actively and without having to do as much scrolling. For OMEGAMON for messaging, FixPack 3, we've added some more support for viewing messages on queues. So you can, this is really kind of neat. You can give it a starting point and a number of messages to display, and you may have thousands of messages. And this will allow you to much more quickly get to the ones that you're looking for by time banding it or number of messages down in the queue and so forth. This is something that we think is really valuable for OMEGAMON for messaging. And we've also added some configuration and performance improvements. And I won't read the APAR and PTF information, but it's provided for you in case you have not already applied these. For OMEGAMON for DB2 PE version 5.4, some of these have been around for a while, but we wanted to mention them again. Support for Z hyperlink read metrics, the integration with DB2 Z AI, so you can go ahead and get apply some AI techniques to optimizing your queries. And of course, as always, some navigational improvements to E3270. In this particular case, there were some things that were in OmegaView that we've added additional navigation for in E3270. Probably the most interesting thing that we've added to DB2 PE is adaptive thresholds or anomaly detection. And we have some simple AI that we've applied that calculates kind of what's rolling, what's normal for elapsed time, CPU, and get pages for some thread anomaly detection. The E3270 UI will show the threads that are consuming resources that are out of the normal band that's been determined. And this model will adapt over time. So it's kind of a rolling, a rolling wave. The last n number of occurrences are going to be shown. And you have the ability to set the and customize the amount of instances that you want figured into your rolling average. And this will help you to take some of the guesswork out of setting thresholds. It'll do automatic thread grouping, so you don't have to guess which ones to group together for this. And then again, the normal is being tailored for each of the various thread groupings that are identified. This will help eventually reduce the false positive alerts that you're getting as you can set better thresholds. And then, we think given that you're less likely to have all these false positives, you're actually more likely to investigate the threads that are identified as anomalous and give you better indications that you've got a serious problem coming on without having to wait for the thing to occur and then pick it out of the forest of alerts that you've gotten. So for OMEGAMON for JVM, FixPack 2 came out a little while ago, and we're very excited about this one. It really allows you to get the detailed requester details from the system of record, so you can see both sides of an API call, what's going on the request side as well as in the system of record. We've also provided some insight into in-flight APIs. So active requests, you don't have to wait for the API call to succeed or fail to see details about it. And this again gives you more of an observability, a view of the now, what's going on with your critical system APIs. We've also added early failure detection. So for example, if you have an authorization failure, before you even get into ZOS Connect with your API, this will actually allow you to detect those earlier and react more quickly to try to resolve the problems. FixPack 3 is something that we are even more excited about, which is the new Java agent configuration option. So in the past, OMEGAMON for JVM, as well as I think most JVM monitors, rely on the Java Health Center to get their metrics and to see what's going on. We've added a new configuration option, which allows you to use a new JVM-TI agent instead. And that will give you better performance in terms of threads, CPU, heap usage, storage. All of that will give you better performance. And you can still support the Health Center configuration option. If you're happy with what you're doing, you're not forced to make a change, but there is a better option out there for most people. We've also given some additional API correlation with OMEGAMON for kicks, so that you can see more details about what's going on in kicks from within OMEGAMON for JVM. We've added some new history navigation and some better situation tree zooming as well to give you the ability to more quickly get to where you need to as far as seeing the details. For the family, the OMEGAMON family overall, we've expanded our near-term history. We talked about PDS version 2. This new data store will give you more data that's kept locally on z/OS, roughly 7 days as opposed to 1 day. And what we've seen, and customers have verified this, although we don't have an official benchmark, is we'll see about 20% performance improvement across the board in near-term history. And no one ever says no to performance improvements. The ease of administration has been improved, so you don't have to handle the manual PDS data sets anymore. This is now automatically done for you. It's implemented through ParmGen or through the configuration manager, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail later on. Again, PDS v2. There's a new PTF that you should apply to do this. This one actually removes the 24 hours of data per data set constraint. So, we now give you the full, probably 1 week's worth of data that you're able to store. And, the difference here is that the data store that we're using is actually a linear VSAM file for PDS v2, which gives us the ability to store much more data. And that's how we kind of broke through that threshold. Also across the board, we can now show you how to correlate IBM Z events across your hybrid cloud applications with Watson AIOps. And the way this works is that Z monitoring has an integration through the alerts. Watson AIOps can ingest the alerts that come from OMEGAMON, as well as a variety of other hybrid cloud types of events. And so if you're looking at a cluster of events that happen over a period of time, some may be on the Z side, some may be on, maybe even multiple Z arenas, could be DB2 and kicks, for example, and you might have other hybrid cloud application related events that are popping up at the same time. That gives you additional insight into what's going on, who might be the culprit, who might be the victim, so that you can more quickly identify and decide on the right action to take based on this hybrid cloud application-wide view. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the improved configuration and deployment experience we had. We've added a new feature in the last year or so called the configuration manager. This will really ease your implementation and tuning. We've had a client recently at a panel discussion who said that things that used to take them 2 weeks to do with the old ParmGen methodology, they're now doing in a maximum of 2 hours time. So this can really streamline and simplify the work that you're doing. It really is a streamlined batch workflow. It'll improve the discovery. It has a streamlined discovery process. It also doesn't require you to have super user authority as ParmGen does. It reduces the time required, not only when you're doing like a release upgrade or a new install, but also even when you're adding and applying new service. The new migrate capability inherits the existing ParmGen RTE. So if you've been using ParmGen, you can start there and import your parameters into the new configuration manager as your start point. We've also improved the RTE, your runtime environment deployment across your Sysplex, and there will be a lot more detail about that in the upcoming Wednesday presentation, which I have a note here as to which session that is, 3BC. This will work for all of your OMEGAMONs version 5.4 or higher. I would also note that if you're trying to upgrade from 5.3, it will ingest the 5.3 parameters into ParmGen, but you can't create a version 5.3 compatible output from this. So if you're doing an upgrade from 5.3s to 5.4s and 5.5s or what have you, this will accomplish that. So now let's talk about how we're modernizing and integrating the user experience. Earlier, I talked about the new ChatOps. I talked about Service Management Unite, Service Management Explorer. These are really the three graphically oriented engagement or user experiences that we have with our OMEGAMONs. And so, we'll talk a little bit more about each of these as we go. What's important is that all of these, well, IBM's position on user experience is that we want to tailor a user experience for the person and the role. So we have deep level domain versions, which are, think of that as your E3270 UI or Service Management Explorer or the existing TEP user interface. All of the deep down gory detail about metrics that you could ever want available that way. Service Management Unite is really intended for the operations persona and has a higher level view of what's going on and provides easy integrations from seeing what's going on to taking action into the automation tools, the scheduling tools, brings all of those disciplines together for the operator persona. And then we've added IBM Z ChatOps, which is a collaborative environment that can bring everybody together, get everybody on the same page with the same information quickly, and also speed team learning. So if you have new to the platform people in any of those roles, it helps engage and provides a record of learning for, we solved a problem in this manner. What are the questions that we asked? What are the data that we looked at? What is the process we followed to resolve it? It captures all that in a built-in learning record, as well as helping to speed the solution of an existing problem. So again, ChatOps, easy sharing of Z resource information. It brings the available information from Service Management Unite right into the chat. So it engages the people that are responsible automatically. You can actually ask the chatbot for more detailed information. You can drill down from there into the Service Management Unite dashboards. It helps you break down the organizational silos and bridge those skill gaps that we talked about earlier. So Service Management Explorer, which we talked about, is a new Zoe-based user experience, which will ultimately is our plan to replace the TEP with it. It's Java free. So those who had all the problems with Java, most people who are in a kind of a read-only role, they're not creating new workspaces or adding new users, can use the Service Management Explorer now, and you'll find it to be probably a little bit quicker than the TEP. It inherits all of your TEP customizations automatically. It utilizes the IBM Carbon design system for UI, so the widgets look a little bit better, a little bit more modern on the workspace. But if you know how to use TEP, you will have no problem with using using Service Management Explorer. Something that we've added recently is the direct linking to Service Management Explorer. It's an API that we've added. It's not exploited yet, but you will be able to go directly from Service Management Unite or ChatOps directly into the exact workspace that you need to see based on where, say, an alert came from. You'll be able to navigate directly to the workspace that contained the metrics around that alert. Today, if you're in Service Management Unite, you can link to Service Management Explorer, but it's going to link you directly into your default workspace. So we'll be able to navigate you a little more quickly in the future to your resolution. And Service Management Explorer, as we talked about, helps you isolate a problem in the SMU dashboards, launch to IZSME, as we just talked about. And both of these solutions run on the same Zoe desktop. Now, I want to give a little bit of a look ahead to what's coming next week. I can't say too much about it right now, but we've had requests from clients for many years to be able to provide our OMEGAMON metrics into popular visualization, AI, and machine learning platforms. And I strongly suggest that you all attend session 3BH, which is AIOps using your OMEGAMON data with your visualization and AI machine learning platform of choice. And you can learn a little bit more about what we're doing in that realm there. So a couple of things for some further information that we wanted to provide to you. It is we have a Z software trials for our Z trial environment for OMEGAMON for JVM. We've got some really good things there. You can see for OMEGAMON for JVM how we work with the ZOS Connect APIs and give you some of the cool things that we've done there. We also have a red paper on this. So, a lot of people are looking at the APIs and how important they are to their hybrid cloud applications. So we want to give you some pointers as to where you can get more information there. In addition to that, we have the Service Management Unite Z trial as well. So you can go there and experience that and see how you can navigate through that and get benefit. We have a new community. We would encourage everyone to join for AIOps monitoring and observability. We have a link here where you can register. We have blogs. We have a discussion, kind of like we used to call forum. Now they're discussions. You can get notification about events, and we have a number of videos that we posted there as well. If you want to just keep updated with IBM Z software in terms of AIOps and what's going on there, we have the AIOps newsletter that you can click here and subscribe to. We would encourage everyone to stay current. We're doing a lot. You'll see a lot upcoming in the next, in the next quarters, the following this. So, please keep engaged with us there. And I'd ask everyone to go ahead and submit your session feedback. Hopefully you have found this to be worthwhile and interesting. You can scan the QR code here for a little bit faster access. Would encourage everyone to join GSE UK. We have some benefits, which I won't read through here, but some really good stuff there. And with that, I think we've kind of come to the end of the prepared slides. And Ash, I don't know, do we have questions that we can address?
Right. Hi there. We did have a question around editing situations, and so the question was, can you administer situations from Service Management Unite? The answer was no. Service Management Unite doesn't have that option. You would require the tip, or you can edit the situations in the E3070 UI. So the traditional UIs, shall we call them, you have that option today. It's a bit more challenge. To edit situations in the E3070 UI requires a bit more typing, let's say, because the graphical user interface, you can just click and so on. It's easier to use the mouse there, but both UIs still have that capability to edit situations.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would add that it is on our roadmap to include in the Service Management Explorer, which is the follow-on to TAP, but it's not there yet.
There are no further questions in the window chat box.
Okay. All right. If there are no further questions, then I think we're at end of job.
Okay, so I have actually allowed the participants to unmute themselves if they would like to talk to you, ask you questions, generally comment. Then they have the power to do that.
Perfect. We would invite any questions or any discussion.
I just want to ask a question to torture Ash some more, but I'll pass.
Oh, no, feel free.
I'm just teasing him. I've been chatting with him the whole time.
Yes. You can talk offline. Thank you.
Okay. And again, we'd remind our viewers to look at some of the other related sessions that we talked about earlier. I think you'll find those of great benefit.
I think the slides for the presentation were uploaded to the website, so you can download those to pick up any useful links and things that were in them. And the recordings will be available in a few weeks to download if you are GSE members, which is another good reason to be a GSE member. Okay, so I will lead the round of applause to thank Bob and Ash for their time and the effort of putting the presentation together, of course, and also again remind you to donate generously to the charities to also show your appreciation of the time and effort that was spent putting this session together. Okay, if there's no other comments, no other chat, then I will end the session.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming out this afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Bye all.